Welcome to the Georgia Show. You know, Bill, there's so much going on. I'm kind of having flashbacks to like Walt Disney, Pirates of the Caribbean, when you go around the turn and something else jumps at you. You know,
Yeah, that's right.
happens. It's kind of
It's
wild.
it's to me, it's almost a little bit more like Space Mountain, where you don't know what's coming, but
Yes,
you feel it, and all of a sudden you're on top of it. So it is very interesting.
exactly.
Um,
What do we got
many
today?
many people have been sending messages all afternoon, going, "Oh my gosh, what a day in Georgia!" And so we're going to cover things. We had good, we had surprising, and we have some go forward thoughts for folks, and we want to make due diligence of all of that. We're also going to remind folks of something that Trump said, which weighs into some of the stuff we saw happen today. So it will be a very interesting hour in the midst of everything else, and we'll have the chance to say once again, we were right, but we were early.
It's always been my problem. Too early. All
There
right.
you
So,
go.
all right. We are brought to you by the Georgia Show, GeorgiaRecord.com. Sign up for our socials. We really need your help. CDM1 on Rumble, CDM on YouTube. Please subscribe, even if you don't watch us there. We've got to get the numbers up. So certain things happen at 1,000 followers, and we just started rebuilding. So please go subscribe to us there. And CDM underscore press, the Georgia Record, and my own and Bill is Insist on Truth, right? That's what you are on X?
Insist on truth on X, yes.
All right. So also sign up for our no ad subscriptions. It's really important. We get a lot of support this way, and we want to keep building it as our audience grows. My.cdm.press. You get access to all of our content, and we're getting a lot of good feedback, and it's very encouraging and heartwarming on everything we're doing all over the world, from Department of War to Georgia to Miami to Ukraine. I mean, it's really insane what we took on as a company, but it's working, and we really appreciate the audience. So, but go to my.cdm.press and you can get all of that content with no ads popping up. And I get comments sometimes. I got a comment from a good colleague. He's like, you know what? I don't like those pop-up ads. I'm like, dude, we got to make money. What do you want to give us $100 for the year? That's fine. But you won't see the ads, or $10 a month. But we got to make money and survive. So that's just what it is. What do we got for the show today, Bill?
Well, we're going to start off with something that happened in Fulton County. There was an FBI raid in the last hours. We're going to talk about that. And Jason Frazier, who we know well, and we honor with all the work that he's done with regard to election integrity, actually got on his running shoes and got down there to be able to observe personally what was going on. And we'll see some of the photos that he took. We're going to hear the latest about Senate Bill 9 and what happened this morning, and what we hope will happen going forward now. We'll also talk about the state election board and their needs for funding, and what we think may be some of the feedback that needs to be had, and we hope that will be heard, and probably a couple other things before we're done.
Well, let's get going, Bill. We're going to take a quick ad real quick, just to pay some bills, as I said, but we'll be right back, and stay with us here on the Georgia Show.
Divorce is tough, but your finances don't have to be. I'm David Cross, and I'm a certified divorce financial analyst practitioner. My job is to help you get a fair financial settlement in your divorce and to guide you to smarter money decisions. Find out how we can help you. U.S. Asset Management. It's your money and your future.
David's a good supporter, and I just wanted to say also, Jason Frazier has been, the word I would have for him is consistency. I mean, he's been early, he's been on it, he hasn't let up, and he's gotten results in the end, and he's still going. So kudos to Jason.
That's right. And one of the things, and Jason and David and a few others share this in common, they do the work. I mean, they're working on research, they're working with people, they're doing analysis, they're actually getting the job done, and then bring it forward, and then try to bring it forward to the authorities over time. And that's been one of the challenges. Some of the authorities don't seem to want to participate, to know this stuff. And yet now, we're getting to the FAFO part, and folks are learning, hey, wait a minute, this is real and you better pay attention. So, all right, with that, let's kick off with what happened today. A few hours ago, the FBI executed what is now being called a sealed search warrant, court ordered in Fulton County's election facility in Fairburn. This is one of the quote unquote satellite offices. How did this one get picked? Well, we don't know exactly, as you would expect. This is a sealed search, so sealed warrant. So we will not know much about this. We're going to listen to or show the video of the event happening. It doesn't have much commentary, but we'll fill in a few of the gaps. But you should expect that stuff like this, when it happens, will not be known, before it occurs. That's very common. Would we expect to know immediately what they find? No, you shouldn't expect that. This is going to be treated with a lot of confidentiality. But the very fact that the FBI executed this means that we are in a process of investigating what truly has happened. And we'll make some comments as we go through this. Let's go ahead and watch the video of the event actually occurring. You can see the FBI agents approaching the door. They're calm. They're well equipped. And what you don't see yet is the backup folks, and they're over to the right. And there's probably a lot more of them that we don't see in this particular video. But they enter. We don't know the exact process they go through, but there is obviously a process. And you'll notice they begin carrying things in. We'll talk about what some of those are in just a few minutes.
Do you know who took this video? I'm just curious.
This is, and we give thanks to Fox 5 here in Atlanta. One of their video photographers got this and put it up on online.
I wonder if they were alerted.
Well, you would think that they might have to have been in order to be there at the time that this occurred. So we don't know that for sure, and we haven't conversed with them. But notice they're carrying in some very interesting things. Looks like long sort of metal poles and sticks and other things. Now understand, this is a quote unquote, I believe it's going to be termed and spoken of as a raid. So when folks go in and they do a raid on a place, they are prepared to gather any and all goods, information, equipment, anything else that they believe is covered under the warrant. That could mean a lot of things. We won't speculate on what they all are. You'll also notice they carry in some equipment here in just a moment that is fascinating. And again, it goes right along with this. So if they were there's the part of the backup team. Notice that as they carry these things in, what might you expect? Now, somebody just set something down there in front of the window, and you'll see this again in a couple of minutes. What might you expect? Well, would people attempt to hide things sometimes in some of these raids? Again, we don't know if that occurred here. Hopefully not. But they have to be prepared for any of that, which means they have to be able to access rooms and locked doors and potentially locked cabinets and other things. And so we suspect that the things they took in with them are meant to help them enable whatever they need to gather under the warrant so that they can fully exercise their duty in serving that warrant and then collecting the materials. Okay, so we'll take that out. Let's see some of the pictures that came out of this. This is the back of the building, and you can see an FBI vehicle back there. And then, as I mentioned, Jason Frazier took the time to actually physically go down. He knew where this was, obviously, because of all the work that he's done for many years now, and took this picture. Mentioned that in one of his posts on X, this is one truck backed up, but apparently they had multiple trucks queued up and ready to be loaded. What are they taking? We don't know everything that they're taking. Some people are online saying, well, it's boxes and boxes and boxes of ballots. We don't know that for sure. And we won't speculate. But you can be sure that these guys are acting as they are supposed to in their role as FBI personnel and gathering whatever they have been instructed to gather from underneath this warrant. Very interesting. Now, let's see. All right, let's leave that for the moment. We'll bring this down. So here's the thing that I want folks to remember. This is Fulton County, and we spoke in the last 2 weeks about, yes, Fulton is the most populous, and yes, they've as much as disclosed that 315,000 or so of their ballots were counted and included in their counts, yet did not have signed poll tapes with them, which means that they should not have been counted. But this is just one county. And we're going to show some information that has surfaced in another action that happened this week. And I would suggest politely that people consider that what we're going to find in the coming weeks and months will not be limited to Fulton County. It may go across many counties in Georgia. And we're going to show you some evidence that would suggest that in fact may be true. But don't assume that everything else is going to be fine and it was just Fulton. I suspect you're going to find that would be an incorrect conclusion in the grand scheme of things.
You know, you talk about this having nationwide consequences or across Georgia. I think it has across the nation. You could look at Minnesota, and you could possibly, this could be teeing up action, because everything in Minnesota is happening because they don't want you to know about the elections and how they, you know, have been corrupting the whole state. So this could be the first of many across the country.
think about Tina Peters' situation that we've spoken of many times. They're keeping her locked up despite a presidential pardon.
Mm-hmm.
And now they appear to be trying to create new charges against her, potentially to keep her incarcerated. Why? Yeah. Because what she did can show, at least within Mesa County, what was done to the systems following the election, things that are now missing. Yeah. Why would they hide that? They don't want it found. And they, in fact, the officials that ordered that and are supporting it in Colorado are actually the criminals in this. They have, despite federal law, which requires the retention of all documents, records, and other things associated with federal elections, they have allowed those to be be removed. That's a crime. Definitely. So, all right. So more on this, but remember that, and do not get caught up in thinking, oh, well, gosh, they finally caught it all. It's all Fulton County. I believe you're going to find that's not true. All right, let's move on to something that I consider very positive. We, as you will recall, we surfaced in the last two shows concerns regarding SB-9. And here's what we said last time. SB-9, a bill that is no longer what originally passed the Senate. It's been stripped and transformed through a process called subbing. Taking one bill and plopping it on top of another. And it turned from what would have been an okay bill with reasonable concerns to something that would criminalize political images and videos and memes and other things within 90 days of an election. This was a plan, obviously, to substitute the contents of what was a previous bill, HB 986, onto this. That previous bill we argued against, and it ultimately did not pass. But the folks that wanted it kept pushing it. And folks like Todd Jones and Brad Thomas kept pushing this, and they got it subbed on to SB-9. What we did yesterday was sound the alarm, because there was word go out that, in fact, that bill, the substituted SB-9, would potentially go to the floor today. So yesterday, we posted this, an emergency call to action to call Burt Jones, because Burt Jones ultimately, as lieutenant governor, has say over the Senate and wields a significant amount of authority. And he also wants, because he's running for office, he wants people to trust his judgment. Well, this is one of those times that we asked the public to step up and say they don't want this, and to specifically call Burt Jones with that. They did. Many did. We had many hundreds that reached out to their senators, their House of Representatives, to Burt Jones, to others, and let their views be known. And almost universally, with very few exceptions, they recognize that SB-9 in this form, where if you post a meme they don't like, within 90 days of an election, you could get a criminal charge against you. That's wrong. That is infringing on free speech, obviously. So late yesterday, we heard there might be a change in the plan. And so I want to acknowledge that indeed they did change the plan. And just as hard and as strong as we will argue against things, I believe it's in our purview to give credit when people do the right thing. So I want to play this video, and I want to have you watch somebody do the right thing, and then we'll explain exactly what happens.
We've got a number of special actions today, and I recognize the senator from the 56th.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd ask unanimous consent that the Senate disagree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 9.
Senator from the 56th has asked for unanimous consent for the Senate to disagree on House substitute Senate Bill 59. Any objections? Read the caption. Sorry.
Senate Bill 9 by Senators Albers of the 56th and others. A bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 3 of Chapter 12 of Title 16 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions relative to obscenity and related offenses so as to repeal and replace Code Section 16-12-80 relating to obscene material, distribution, and penalty to amend Article 1 of Chapter 10 of Title 17 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to procedure for sentencing and imposition of punishment so as to provide for sentencing of defendants who utilize artificial intelligence in the commission of certain crimes, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other purposes.
What he just read was the original caption on the original SB-9. Now he's going to read what was proposed as the substitute.
Mr. President, the House offers the following substitute. To amend Title I of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to elections so as to establish the criminal offenses of fraudulent election interference and solicitation of such, to provide for definitions, to provide for exceptions, to provide for the Attorney General to have concurrent jurisdiction over such crimes, to provide for punishment, to provide for injunctive relief, to provide for the State Election Board to publish results of investigations into such offenses, to provide for certain disclaimers on campaign advertisements that use AI-generated media, to provide for the form of such disclaimers, to provide for definitions, to provide for legislative findings and intent and other purposes. Mr. President, that completes the order.
Senator from the 56 has asked for unanimous consent that the Senate disagree to the House substitute to Senate Bill 9. Is there objection? Hearing none. All right, so no objection. Here, no objection. The Senate disagrees to the House substitute of Senate Bill 9.
Very interesting. So what you just saw happen was the Senate took a unanimous decision to not allow the substitution of the language coming from the House bill and denying its ability to lay on top of SB-9 and modify SB-9. So they went back to the original. Now, what is the original? Let's take a look at it. It's very, very interesting, and many people feel okay about it. We'll go back here in just a second, but let me show you what the original bill was. That original bill was written to prohibit distribution of computer-generated obscene material depicting a child. A child. That's the original bill. And many people would have looked at that and said, oh, well, I understand then this is to protect children and protect that they aren't, subject of computer-generated obscene material. That makes sense to most people in Georgia. This other that was attempted to be substituted did not make sense. And we do have to, I want to give specific notice to this gentleman, John Albers. He was the sponsor of the original SB-9 bill. And we called him out in previous shows for SB-9. And we called on everyone, including Senator Albers, to change this, to get rid of it. And indeed, that's essentially what happened this morning. They denied, they disagreed, which is the process that you have to use, with the substitute coming from the House. So the language that was concerning is gone. And now we're back to an SB-9 that many people, I think, would say makes sense. It protects and creates crimes for obscene material depicting a child using other means. So that's where we are. Now, what does that say? Well, one, many people across Georgia got involved in this, and we want to make sure that we give credit. We've talked about this so many times. And in fact, I want to play a very short clip from Trump back when he first took his presidency that will make sense in light of this happening today. Let me play this just quickly.
What truly matters is not which party controls our government, but whether our government is controlled by the people.
Many will remember that on January 20th, 2017. And here we have an example of where people are taking leadership on themselves, reaching out, speaking out, and saying, we don't want this, get rid of it. We also want to thank all the podcasters, publishers, leaders, colleagues across the media for amplifying the message and stating the urgency that occurred yesterday when we found out this might make it to the floor. And of course, we want to give credit to the Georgia Freedom Caucus for right up front at the very beginning of the legislative session, calling this out as one of those things that needed to be addressed and pushed back on, and providing facts and perspective about what then was SB-9. And very frankly, just as we are called to do through faith, we want to give credit to the senators and legislators for heeding the call of the people of Georgia and changing course for a better way. So thank you to all of those folks for making today turn out a lot better than it could have.
That's good to call out the good actions as well, Bill. So thank you for doing that.
Well, we have to. We have promised in the past that we will call out both good and bad. And so we're trying to do that. It's fair. It's the right thing to do. And if you believe in, a Christian posture, then that is what we are supposed to do. Everybody can change their course, and we need to give them that opportunity to do so. That does not mean that we will not have eyes on each and everything that we think needs it throughout the rest of the legislative session and going forward. And I'm hoping that we can count on the people of Georgia to continue to be involved. Boy, they sure were this time. So since we're on a positive tact, what I'd like to do next is talk about some of the things that we are hearing both the Georgia Freedom Caucus and others would like to see going forward. And many have promised some of these things, but we want to make sure that it's on the table, that folks are now really pushing for action, positive action from the legislature. All right, let's start here. So what's next? Well, one is many have said that they wish to eliminate the state income tax, and they're using it as campaign call signs to say, we need to get rid of the state income tax. Keep in mind that a number of other states now have no income tax, and they're doing fine. At the same time, there is a call to rein in property taxes. Why? Well, because in many counties, my own included, property taxes are climbing faster than inflation. They're climbing faster than the population growth. And you still see these cases where they run off and spend money, one that isn't in hand yet, but two, in projects that seemingly make no sense. I mean, we've talked ad infinitum about the $150 million building project here in Forsyth County that will ultimately cost every person, even children, the equivalent of $500 or $600 once it's built, and that can't be used for the stated purpose that the county commission called out when they approved it. It can't be used for a county commission meeting, a deliberation, or voting. Can't do it. It's outside the county seat, and that's not legal in Florida, or pardon me, in Georgia. So those two big things to start off: eliminate the state income tax, not 10%, not tenth of a percent at a time. Let's make it happen quickly. Other states have done it. We can do it. People have promised it. Now follow through. Secure our elections. You just saw what happened today. This is getting serious. It will get more serious before we are done. What does that mean? Hand-marked paper ballots, clean and simple. Hand-counted ballots, single-day voting, voter ID, and citizenship proof. And of course, clean voter rolls, and we'll have to talk about that in terms of what that's going to take. We might have to start afresh with our voter rolls before we're done. The Make America Healthy Again movement needs to reside here in Georgia. What does that mean? Well, for one thing, ivermectin, which is a very safe drug, the wellness company who we work with extensively, and their doctors have all called this out, and it needs to be an over-the-counter drug, as it is in many other states, and available to all, and it needs to be done now. There's nothing holding that back. We need to eliminate fluoride from water. Fluoride is a known poison and can harm children and adults. Needs to be eliminated. It's already been eliminated in some cases. It needs to be eliminated by law across Georgia. We need to get rid of the liability shield created by the pesticide bill last year. That was a mistake. It was flawed logic. And right now it's in place, but it is protecting no one other than Bayer, ChemChina, and other pesticide manufacturing companies who are immune from certain liabilities because of that bill. It does not serve the interest of Georgians. We need to ban geoengineering. People didn't even believe this existed until other states have begun drafting laws against it. We should outlaw it, and it should not occur in Georgia beginning immediately if we can make it. We should make discrimination based on vaccine status illegal. You shouldn't have to lose your job. You shouldn't have to be kept out of school. You shouldn't have anything done to you based on a vaccine status. It should be discrimination and illegal discrimination. And then lastly, one of the things that farmers talk about is repealing laws regarding raw milk. Raw milk is food. And what did we just hear from the Maha movement in the last weeks? Eat real food, and raw milk is real food. Lastly, for the moment, strengthen the Second Amendment. We should have constitutional carry all the way down to age 18. We should ensure that Georgians can protect themselves in all locations. That may mean the ability, and does mean the ability to carry guns wherever they need to potentially protect themselves. And very frankly, teachers, kind of like airline personnel, should be allowed to carry firearms if they so choose, and perhaps given a bonus for doing so, and then also going through the education necessary to help them protect themselves and potentially protect those around them, which might include students, believe it or not. So those are some of the things we would suggest now going forward. Let's take
that's going to be really important in this new age of violence over the next few months too.
Well, hopefully the violence won't be pervasive, but more importantly, guns are for protection, and we've seen in many cases where folks have the ability to carry firearms lawfully, you see a decline in violent crime. Where they try to prevent that, you see often an increase. Look at many of the states and cities that outlawed the carrying of firearms. Some of those have the highest crime rates. Yes. And yet that's not because the good guys can't carry guns, because the bad guys don't care what the law says. They're still going to carry them. So All right. Shall we take a break? We're at about half past, and perhaps
Yeah,
it's
let's
good
do that.
time
Let's
for
pay
break.
some bills, hear from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
A warm welcome here at the National Press Club. Welcome to the journalists, welcome to the Embra team, and welcome to the other guests that we have here. I'm going to announce, and as some of you guessed it right when they came in, the first E2 order by an American operator. And that operator is Avello. We believe this is really a strategic shift to unlock profitability for the customer. I'm very pleased that we have Andrew Levy here as the CEO of Avello, and I'm very pleased to give the stage to share a little bit more about what Avello is going to do with the E2 195. Thank you very much.
Couldn't be more excited to be here as part of this historic announcement. We have such a great cultural fit as companies, so we're very, very excited to be Embraer's newest customer. We launched our airline in April of 21, and our target is focusing on small secondary airports of large metro areas. We've carried over 8 million customers since we started on 63,000 flights. And we've done all these things with 1,200 of the greatest crew members I could ever imagine having, and many of them are here with me today. This is the right airplane for us. It's going to open up opportunities for us that no other aircraft can serve. The best thing about the airplane, of course, is you will not find a middle seat on this airplane. It doesn't exist. We won't have any to offer. It's going to be the best cabin in the United States, and we're so excited about that. This is going to elevate our experience to the highest level, and we think our customers are absolutely going to love the airplane.
So, Bill, I just wanted to talk quickly about the Wellness Company, one of our big sponsors, as the fire trucks go by outside. Everyone knows the next medical crisis is just around the corner, whether it comes from a form of crippling winter storm or pandemic or something much more mundane like a tick bite. You and your family need to be prepared. That's where the Wellness Company comes in. You know the Wellness Company, we have their great doctors like Peter McCullough on all the time. The Wellness Company and their doctors are medical professionals that you can trust, and their line of prescription medical kits are the gold standard when it comes to keeping you safe and healthy. Whether it is the emergency medical kit, the contagion kit, the first aid kit, or the travel kit, these prescription kits can contain an assortment of life-saving medications and guidebooks to assist in the proper use of these medications. Rest assured knowing that you have emergency antibiotics, antivirals, and antiparasitics on hand to keep you and your family safe. Go to twc.health/CDM today and order. That's twc.health/CDM and use promo code CDM and you get 10% off. Okay, Bill, back to you.
All right. So much of the things we're talking about tonight have to do with elections, and this one does too. Albeit it goes more toward the voter rolls, which are also a concern. And there is an organization known as the Election Assistance Commission, which does various studies and then publishes the information to the benefit of states all over the U.S. Here's something that, and again, Jason Frazier called this out, but I also heard about it from others that are tracking this. And he calls out the fact that Georgia voter rolls have become even worse than they were before. This is on top of Raffensperger continuing to claim that we have the cleanest voter rolls in the nation. Balderdash. 73 counties now have more registrations than citizens of voting age. Think about that for just a minute. Amazing. 73 counties have more registrations than people who are old enough to vote. How could that be? And it's gotten worse. So let's, I won't read the rest of this. You're welcome to go, and I highly recommend, if you aren't yet following Jason Frazier on X, please do so. Just brings out great information, makes it simple to understand. He also includes in this post the link if you would wish to draw down the actual report yourself to review it. Here's one section of the top of the report. And so what this says is, let's use Fulton as an example. They have 778,000 people of voting age in Fulton County, but they have nearly 900,000 registrations, 115% of the voting age population. And they
more than enough to flip an election, you know?
More than enough to flip an election is the right answer. And you can see the percentage of overall Georgia population on the right. So what does this mean? Well, again, more than half of Georgia counties have more registrations than people of voting age. That list alone represents about 30% of the population of Georgia. Now, keep in mind, most states normally have a voter registration rate. In other words, the percentage of the voting age population that actually registers is normally in the 60, 65, maybe 70% range. 70% versus 115%. How did we get here? Well, I think we're going to find out how we got there, but was it by accident? I don't believe we're going to find out it was by accident. That's why we see this climbing in all these counties. When we have excess registrations, that means that people that don't live there anymore may be registered. It may be duplicate registrations as we've seen over and over again. It may be registrations which are, they have a similar name, J. Smith, not John Smith, J.A. Smith instead of, J.A. blah, blah, blah Smith. Maybe the same address, maybe a different address, maybe a slightly different age. And certainly a different voter ID number, because the voter ID number defines that thing, that registration, can indeed vote. So this is just the latest illustration of this has to change. We can't have more people registered, more registrations floating around in the system than there are people to vote. There must be a one-to-one correspondence between these. What's it going to take? Well, we're not going to be able to define that in the course of this hour, but one discussion that's going on is maybe we have to start over. Maybe we have to have a way of making sure that people that register are in fact, one, they're a human being, they are legal to vote, and two, that they're a citizen, because they're supposed to be a citizen in order to vote. We will see what plays out from this, but that is it's a very serious concern and cannot be overlooked.
For sure.
All right. Staying on the election tact for the moment, the state election board. We have spoken about the state election board and their work and the fact that things are finally getting uncovered. Both the Fulton 300,000 ballots that did not have tabulator tapes and that should not have been counted. Emails signifying that even before the real concerns popped out of the 2020 election, certain voting officials knew there was a problem with the audit. They could tell that there were things that were being duplicated and so forth, and emails have been discovered that show that they knew that and were discussing it. These are serious, serious concerns. And thankfully, we have the state election board and some good people on there, after working to put good people on there for several years, to delve into this and honestly try to uncover what has been going on and work to fix it. Unfortunately, we reported last time that there appears to be an effort to cut funding necessary for the state election board to do their work. The amount of funds, as you can see here, and this is in the latest budget bill, amount from previous appropriations act as amended, $1.389 million was allocated to the state election board. This year, what they are proposing is to cut that by $544,000, or about 40%, and only give them $821. Now, why would you do that when this is the organization, this is the board, these are the people that are uncovering facts that have to be known? Why would you do that? So we reached out, we got word during the week, and we've seen other posts that mirror what we were told. And that is that certain organizations, specifically the General Government Subcommittee, headed by Representative Bill Gettr from Sylvester, appear to have been involved in deciding to make these cuts. I reached out to Bill Yearda's office, spoke to one of his assistants, sent an email follow-up, and invited him to join us this evening to have a discussion regarding the budget and the process, and unfortunately received no response ultimately to that invitation. If he wishes to be heard going forward, we will still allow him to join us, and we will ask questions about how this came to be. In the meantime, just as this communication asks, we would like to suggest that they amend the cuts and provide the funding, the 1.3, let's go back here, 1.389 or more for the state election board to do its work. They're doing good work. The people of Georgia need this. They want it. They will demand it. And we will make sure that they know what the process is as it goes forward. So respectfully, we'd like that committee and any other committees that need to weigh in on this to rethink their budgeting plans for the state election board and provide the money that's needed for them to do this amazingly necessary work.
Good overview, Bill.
All right. And there's always more. And here is Mr. Yearda, or Representative Yearda, and there are his phone numbers. They're also in the in this communique from What Matters in Georgia. And so one of the calls to action here might be make a phone call and ask them politely to fix this, get them the money they need, and again, be heard. That's what Trump promised. It's what he's effectively given us, and it's up to us to take advantage of it. So,
and a better question would be why the cuts in the first place? You know,
it is a good question, but I don't want to know the answer and not have him fix it. I want it to be fixed. So, all right. Let's see. Any other things that you wanted to talk about? I know we've got a section with David Cross talking about how to authenticate silver. And silver today, I believe I think it ended at about 114, which few can believe, but it continues to progress through the ether. And so as it gets more valuable, we are hearing and finding that there are parties, forces out there that would like to insert fake silver and fake gold, but specifically fake silver in the process. And David has some information that can help people avoid getting tricked as they begin to look at maybe adding silver to their holdings.
No, let's move on.
All right, great. We'll go ahead and play this video and then come back before we close. Welcome back. I'm Bill Quinn. I'm again joined by David Cross, owner of U.S. Asset Management and a certified portfolio manager. David, thank you again for being with us.
My pleasure, Bill. Thanks for having me.
So this is an extension of a conversation we began in a previous video. And during that, you brought up a number of really important, I think, points. Silver has had extraordinary moves in past weeks and months. As it becomes more valuable, there is, I guess I'll call it, an increased chance of someone coming across something that might not be authentic. And so there are some steps that folks can take and consider to make sure that whatever investment they're making is in fact exactly what they think it is. Could you expand on that a little bit and tell us how do you go about doing that?
Sure, Bill. Before we get into that, I've got to put a disclaimer up. So if you would pop that up on the screen for a second. We're going to be discussing financial markets and investments. I'll not be making any specific recommendations to you as an individual. My comments are provided as a courtesy and for educational purposes only. Please consult your investment professional, legal, or other advisors for specific information pertaining to your situation. Okay, we got the legal part out of the way. Over the last several years, I've accumulated a fair amount of physical silver as well as silver that's in my investment accounts. We can talk about how to do investment accounts later. But today's discussion is really going to be centered on buying like physical pieces of silver, whether it's bars or coins or whatever. And over the years, I've seen, I hate to say it, I'm seeing fakes that are out there. and they're really convincing. I myself, I bought a 1 ounce bar a little while back from a friend of mine. It turned out to be magnetic. That's a big no-no. All right. And he was a good guy. He took it back. And also with regard to even like Morgan dollars and peace dollars, they're showing up out there as fakes, and they look amazing. And even when you weigh them, they weigh properly and everything looks normal. There's some low-tech ways that are not very costly where you can test this stuff. And then there's some high-tech ways, and we're going to cover both of those today. The first thing is going to be high-tech way. So the gold standard is going to be something like the Sigma Metalytics machine, where we can take a look at measuring the electroconductivity of precious metals. This device will measure the electroconductivity of silver, gold, platinum, palladium. It's even got extensions on it where if you want to test a candlestick to see if it's really, truly sterling silver, you can do it. So I'm going to switch my camera so we can take a look at this machine and how it works. Okay, so here's the machine, and unfortunately they're costly. This one was about $1,700, but considering how much silver that I've personally invested in, I look at it like it's an insurance policy. So one of the things that we can do when we test this is it will test whether or not your coin is real. In this case, we have a real US Morgan dollar, and in the green means it's clean. This one tested out perfectly. And if it doesn't test out perfectly, it's going to slam the meter over into the red area on either side. And it's going to tell you that the machine is reading that is not really silver. All right, so here we'll test a silver eagle. Put this one on here. It's measuring the conductivity, and look at that. It's right in the green zone. That's perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. These things are being faked out of China and other places, and they're doing a really good job with it. Okay, so now we'll test a bar. This is a 10-ounce Asahi bar out of Japan. It reads right through the plastic, which is amazing. And again, right in the green means it's clean. So this one's perfect also. So there's a lot of fakes that are out there, and we want to try to avoid those. So again, that machine is made by this company called Sigma Metalytics. It's not cheap. All right, it's, like I said, it was $1,700. But again, I view it as an insurance policy for me. I've got friends that reach out to me from time to time that say, hey, I'm thinking about buying some silver or recently bought some. Can you test it for me? And of course, I'll definitely help friends with testing things. All right, so what I just showed you was the high-tech way to do things, and not everybody has $1,700 hanging around so they can test their silver. There are some lower tech ways that you can test it too, and I think it's $3 a month. There's a company called Precious Coin Tester. It's an app on the iPhone store. I think you can also get on Google, and it pairs up with the device made by this company called Sound Money, and it's a ping test. And what you do is you put your coin in here, clamp it down and hold it, and you ping it. It makes a particular tone. Okay. So Sound Money has got an app called the Precious Coin Tester that's available on the App Store. And you can pull it up and you can actually put in like what particular coin you're going to be testing. In this case, we're going to be testing a Morgan dollar. And it's really simple. Down at the bottom, they have a little button for check. So I'm going to press the check button. We're going to ping the coin. It's going to read it, and then it will come back and it'll tell you if the coin passed or not. And in this case, it's telling you it passed. Its estimated purity is at least 80%. So low tech, but you know what? It hasn't been wrong for me so far. So that's a great way to do it. The problem with using the ping test is that it doesn't work on bars. It's not going to work on a 5-ounce bar. It's not going to work on a 10-ounce bar. Bars are where you're going to really have to come in and probably find a friend that's got one of these things. Or if you're buying these things at jewelry stores or pawn shops, that kind of thing, the better financed companies that are out there, the more successful ones, they'll probably have the testing machine and they can do the test for you. I have seen some tests that have been done with pointing like this road paint yellow colored testing gun, and that sometimes works. But when you're testing gold, one of the problems is it can't read through the entire bar. And so if somebody has gone to the trouble to create a really fantastic bar and then they're going to electroplate it or put a thin coat of gold on it, it can't read through more than 1 millimeter. So that's a big risk when it comes to bars and coins. and being able to test them. Okay. Outside of that, another great thing you can do is, I think for $20, you can get a little scale where you can weigh these things. And I'm going to switch to my other camera. Using these things is really simple. They come with a 50-gram weight to make sure that it weighs exactly right. And as you can see, this one does. In the case of weighing a silver eagle, they should come in around 31.3. Silver dollars should come in around 26.6. And as you can see, it's really close to that. So those are right on. Let's see, we'll test a little 5-ounce bar. Hopefully it's not going to overload it. 5-ounce bar is coming right at 155.9 grams. There's 31.1 grams in 1 troy ounce. So you do the math and it works out. And this one's spot on as well too. So that's just another tool that you'll need to have. And again, having silver is not going to be the right thing for everybody. But if you want to participate in owning physical metals that you hold, you have to test it. You've got to do your due diligence. You just can't buy things. It would be incredibly foolish to go out and buy a 10-ounce bar for $800 right now and then discover 6 months or a year from now that it's not real. The fakers that are out there are using a metal called tungsten that is very inexpensive. It is not magnetic, so you can't test it with a magnet, and it weighs really close to what silver is supposed to be also. So you just got to be careful. Like any other thing, you've got to use prudence when it comes to investing in anything, and you got to do your homework. And if you don't have the tools to do your homework, find a friend that has done this kind of thing before and learn from them. That's learning by doing is going to be one of the most powerful ways that you can help self-educate yourself and protect yourself.
I've seen recently articles that talk about how folks are, because of the increase in the price of silver, they're actually looking at, and I think you might have referred to it in our last segment, junk silver, which is silver in the form of old coins that would have been in circulation at some point.
Sure.
Back when we didn't think about, oh gosh, this is 90% silver or better. And what strikes me is that device I think you just showed, the weight scale, can actually help folks even confirm those sorts of coins. Is that right?
Yeah, frequently what you'll see is, so one of these, an old silver dollar, like a Morgan dollar or Peace dollar, they're supposed to be like around 26.6 grams. It's not uncommon for the fakes to come in. I've seen some fakes that are like right on. I mean, I own 3 fakes of these things that are right on the money, but they're slightly thicker. They don't pass the ping test, and I keep them as tools so I can show people what to listen for and how the sound is different. But even if I just show you right now, so I've got silver, and the difference here is that a Morgan dollar that I have preloaded in here is 90% silver, 10% copper, and it kind of rings a little bit like a bell. Hopefully that's coming through clear.
Yep.
Pure silver sounds a little bit different. So this is 100% 999 pure silver. It still resonates, but it's a deeper tone. And what you'll find is that with the fakes that are out there, they sound wildly different. And particularly for the folks that are musically inclined, they'll pick up on this immediately. But for anybody else, it takes a little bit of practice, but you'll get the hang of it pretty quickly. And again, you can use test it with your ear, or you can use the precious metal tester or the precious coin tester that's made by Pocket Pinger. Sound Money makes this thing called the Pocket Pinger, and I'm not getting paid anything to promote them or anything like that. But I've found it to be a useful tool. It's so good. I've given several of these things away for Christmas presents to people that I know that are accumulating silver to help protect them.
That's great. That's great. So folks in many cases may be saying to themselves, gosh, this is more involved than I had expected. There's a lot to know here. If they need help, they can reach you, yes?
Yeah, sure. I mean, listen, we don't get paid for helping people or, or accumulating physical silver or anything like that. I do it as a friend to help people and that kind of thing. We don't make any money off of selling people silver, and we're not in that business. But if somebody comes to me and says, hey, I'd like to test some stuff that I got recently, can you help me out? We will absolutely help be a resource to you. And again, I can't guarantee, but I'll tell you what, we've got a lot of tools and resources and a fair amount of experience, and we can definitely point you in the right direction. And God forbid if you end up feeling like you've got something that's not really spectacularly good, I can send you to some really reputable jewelers around that have got the same kind of testing devices and even more sophisticated ones, where they can really help point you in the right direction if you're making a good decision or not.
That's great. And then here's your website and phone number if folks need to reach you for this, or really any financial guidance that they might wish to get from you. Yes.
Yeah, we're primarily financial. We do financial planning, investment management, divorce financial planning. So basically, if it has to do with money, we're going to help point you in the right direction. Our job is to help you make better decisions with your money.
That sounds great. Sounds like a wonderful focus for the firm. David, thank you so much for being with us today. I have a funny suspicion that there's going to be more to learn as we go forward if these markets, and specifically the silver market, continues making the kinds of moves that we've started seeing. So once again, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Bill.
Fun discussion, and more timely, more important probably by the day now as silver gets more and more expensive.
Well, that was really informative and fantastic for the Georgia show. Thank you for doing that. I mean, that's exactly what we want to bring, good value to people. And, the Georgia show it's about Georgia, but we have an audience literally all over the world. And I just got a comment from someone not in Georgia. Let's just say that. Love your show. And David Cross explains things very simply and seems so nice. So
he's an authentic guy. He's not just an election integrity expert, but he's a financial and a silver expert as well. So God bless him.
Exactly. An election integrity expert. Yeah,
that's right.
All right. I'll be on the skiff tomorrow. We've got Pete Blaber, who's going to be on Sean Ryan. We're just waiting for that to pop out. And we've got a new podcast coming on armedforces.press called Into the Lion's Den by Dan O'Shea, who was the in charge of hostage negotiations in Iraq for a couple tours, I believe. It's going to be a fascinating long-form podcast on military and national security matters. And I'll be on the skiff tomorrow with Pete, and we're going to talk Ukraine and a lot of other stuff. I interviewed Ed Hale, running for governor in Maryland. Fantastic guy. So a lot going on at CDM, and thanks for all your hard work, Bill.
You bet. And thanks to all the people we mentioned earlier in the show. This is a team, believe it or not. It's a team of Georgians all across the state and beyond, really. And when we work together, we can do some amazing things, as you saw happen in the last 24 hours. So thank you to everyone that contributed, that weighed in, that made phone calls, that posted on X and helped. And also to those who changed course. Thank you to legislators that did something different on behalf of what they heard from the people of Georgia.
Excellent. That's all I got.
All right. We'll see you next time.